welcome to Scroll Sessions today. I've got Hunter DeVries with me. Hunter is like the influencer extraordinaire. He actually was in our, this is episode like 2, part 2.
Yeah.
Because you were in season 1 episode, I think 2 or 3.
Yep.
And we recorded that episode in a hotel room in St. George.
Yes, we did.
And this is quite the upgrade from that episode.
Yeah,
so.
the studio is incredible.
It's super cool, huh?
Yeah, it's so good. I'm
it's
excited to sit down in this nice studio and have a good conversation. So.
Yeah, well, good, man. Well, maybe give like the 30-second elevator pitch on Hunter and your background a little bit and reorient people to who you are.
Yeah, that's always tricky, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
So my name's Hunter DeVries, been in influencer marketing and organic for the past 8 years. I've organically generated over 1 billion views on Facebook, 500 million on TikTok, and hundreds of millions on YouTube as a part of the team over at What's Inside. And now I work with a variety of other creators, transitioned into my own business at DeVries Digital. So I basically help brands on the influencer side, but I also help them on the organic side. So I really just want brands to excel. And with the rising costs in CPMs and everything, they need to invest internally, and they need to invest in voices in the community that can be advocates for their brand. So that's it.
Yeah, totally. I love it. Well, I feel like the last year there's been this shift in influencer marketing, especially UGC, TikTok, like all the things. Kind of talk to us about the current state of influencer marketing and where things are at.
Yeah, there's so many different things going on, but I think as always, it's kind of the best time to be a creator. Like, I feel like one of the creators that I manage, just as a quick example, she started off 2 years ago. She now has over 3 million followers, Salary Transparent Street, Hannah Williams. And all she wanted to do was help people understand that your coworker's making more, you should be making more, and just have transparency in the workspace. And she's killing it.
I love her content.
It's so good. Yeah. Everyone that I get on the phone with that wants to work from her from a brand standpoint, at the end of the call, I'm just the biggest fan. I love that advocacy. And I had a call with Ready the Ballot, which is a nonprofit. And they're like, we organize 200 of us to all get together and sit in a room with our bosses and just be like, we all want not the same pay, right? But we all want us to come ahead. And I think just having those conversations with you're a boss.
Yep.
I run my own company, and we have these serious conversations. But I think just being transparent about it and being open and honest has changed a lot of things.
Totally.
Going back to the state of influencer marketing, I think the things that are changing are say TikTok, where it all used to be about the views, and I think this growing trend, whether you like it or not, is TikTok Shop. And I was a part of kind of that launch in August when it launched, and then we did some campaigns through Black Friday, and we were kind of the test dummies with Torok Coupon Hunter. Gonna shout out all my creators.
Yeah, shout them out, man.
And she's the best. I followed her for 2 straight years before I reached out to her, just because she was helping us save $40, $50 every time we went to Target. Because I don't know if your wife loves Target.
Yeah.
But especially she loves Target once you get a baby, because she has to go there for diapers, she has to buy cute outfits.
Yeah.
And Kirsty just does such a great job where it's hey, today if you clip this, and this, you save $50 on $100 worth of diapers. And I'm this makes sense. And she's just crashed Ibotta's app before for 6 hours, which is crazy for a Sam's Club deal. So anyways, I think the state of the union is around niching down. I think there's definitely creators that can have a broad spectrum of topics. And I don't want them to ever feel like they're pigeonholed into it. But I think the creators that truly love something that they do and just stick to it, with a few side tangents here and there just for the fun of it, truly are benefiting a ton. And that's kind of how I pick the creators that I work with nowadays, is are they super good at their vertical? Are they passionate about it? And do they post very consistently? And if they do, I think there's a good blend there. And so that's kind of where we're at with the state of the union, is that there's multiple platforms. You can accomplish any platform, but with TikTok Shop, you could have 10,000 followers. I know people that have 100,000 followers.
TikTok Shop's crazy right now.
Yeah.
It really is. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, especially on the brand side, because if you set it up, it's basically an affiliate program, right?
Yep.
That's popular, where anyone that
it's already trendy.
Yeah, that's already trendy. And I've seen brands that just launched, like, the bread laces that are just super popular.
Just crazy all over.
And you can see their stats for sales. Like the other day I checked and they had 110,000 sales. And think about that.
Yeah.
They started 6 months ago.
Yeah. They've had to you're going through like the growing pains of like starting a business with an interesting idea, like elastic laces, which isn't necessarily like maybe a novel idea. Like I'm sure that has been done before, but just at the scale and the way they did it, plus at the same, it all came together perfectly for them.
Yeah.
Right. But then just to deal with that amount of influx of orders on top of figuring out your supply chain and everything is crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's been days where like the whole business is on fire, but the sales keep coming in and they've had great momentum, because it was like a month ago they had 80,000, so 30,000 orders within a month, and that's just on TikTok. So because I think it's obviously cross promotion. People are going to look them up on Amazon.
It's 10,000 orders a day if it was 30,000 in a 1 month, which just math wise is boggling to me.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so I think if you're running a brand and you're the founder, like.
1,000 orders a day. I said 10.
It's 1,000.
If it was 30,000 a month, it's $1,000 a day. That tells you how good I am at math. Wow.
No, you're good. You're good. But I think if you're like a founder, because I think that's how the founder started that account, and he's like, look at these laces. I love it for the gym.
Yep.
Like that's all it started, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, I'll just tag this, make a commission off of it, and it totally works out. And so I think TikTok Shop is huge. We were just talking about LinkedIn ahead of time. Yeah. I feel like this is going to be something that's starting, but it's going to be mainstream by end of this year, early next year. Yeah, is LinkedIn creators and the influence around that.
I mean, it's already been happening for several months. Like I literally just got hit up by somebody yesterday. It's like, hey, I have a sponsored post coming up. Would you mind engaging on it?
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had somebody hitting me up about it because they're like, got a brand deal for some.
It's because you're already a celebrity on LinkedIn.
No.
Yeah.
No, I've got a couple thousand followers,
which is solid.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I
don't think much about it, but it's funny because my wife, we had like this party with friends and. I share stuff with my wife, of course, and I'm like, but like, I guess she didn't realize like that I had, X amount of followers on LinkedIn, and somebody showed up to the party that we haven't seen in a while, and they were talking to my wife, and they're like, so like, Dan like is posting like crazy on LinkedIn, like what's that about? And she's just didn't have any recollection of that, and so we got into talking about LinkedIn and influencers and like all this stuff. It's kind of funny.
That's so funny. But I feel like if I was to make a comparison, I'd rather have 10,000 LinkedIn followers than 100,000 on TikTok.
It's so much more
for us as business owners, right?
Yes, like, big time.
It makes so much sense. I love TikTok, and I think there's a lot of different things, or YouTube or Snapchat, what have you. But like, I had a post go viral where I just did I love Colin and Samir for their pod. And so I was listening to it, and then they announced the news for, Mr. Beast partnership with Amazon Prime Video. Yeah,
for the game show.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just write a quick LinkedIn post, and I did it in 3 minutes, posted it, and then the LinkedIn editorial team was like, this is perfect, included me right below the news, and I got like 50,000 impressions.
And you're like, the credit is to Colin and Samir.
Yeah. I literally put that in the caption. I'm this is for them. But I got 50,000 impressions, and then I got connected with like Gary Vaynerchuk's team. They wanted to like talk shop, and then Ralph Lauren, which it was interesting because I don't work with any fashion creators, but that was cool. And
that's super cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, I got to get on LinkedIn and do that. But from the State of the Union with most creators, if you stick to your niche and just be consistent with it, not only the money, but really the genuine value. Because if you're adding value, it's going to come back 100-fold. And so I think a lot of creators that just focus on that, it works out.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's awesome. And you help not only, guide influencers through how to grow, not only on one channel, but how to kind of sphere of influence and get onto other channels and grow those channels. But you also help negotiate deals too, which is, I like to help an influencer do that. What does that look like? What does the framework work like? How do you work somebody through that maybe hasn't really done it before? Or if they have, it's been very, maybe crude. Crude way of going about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think working with a creator, from the get-go is like they've never worked with a manager before. They've just thrown out rates. And I talked to them on the first call and I'm like, we're going through everything. I'm explaining like, this is my background. This is what I do. Here's my pitch. This is my email. I'll give you the whole spiel. Is if I haven't followed them for at least 4 months straight, I will not email them. Because in those 4 months, I truly want to see if I enjoy their content. Because if I'm going to be on calls telling brands that they're the best,
you need to believe in it.
I not only have to believe in it, I have to be a fan of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so there's a few small exceptions that I make, and one's like Jenna Phipps. She had the abandoned home that she's renovating in Canada, where I just was like binging all her content over and over. So it was probably the equivalent of 4 months of following.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's 4 months, and then I reach out, and what I structure it is like, I'm first and foremost a fan of you. I want to help you build your business. This is what I've done over the past 8 years. I give a few examples of what I've worked with that apply to them. And then I showcase like, hey, I've done organic. I've helped generate this amount of views and this amount of growth. But more importantly, which is great, like they want to hear that I have experience with that. But the most important part is cultivating like a true audience.
Yep.
Like the goal is never to get to the millions and not have depth with your audience. And that happens. Yeah, and that happens, right? Yeah. And
I feel like has been way more common the last couple of years too.
To just go for the general.
Well, yeah, I just feel like a lot of influencers, for whatever reason, haven't been able to move the needle with their audience, right?
Yeah.
They've got millions of followers, and I feel like but now it's really more about authenticity, moving the needle with your audience, like actually having an engaged audience, right? It's no longer about the vanity metrics. It's about like, can you actually move the needle? And TikTok's kind of democratized that, right?
Yeah, no, they just shattered the whole standpoint.
You got somebody with like no followers that's going to go hyper viral. You've got people with like 10,000 followers that are making an insane amount of commissions, like way more than you could probably ever dream of.
Yeah.
Off of slinging things on TikTok Shop, which is crazy.
Yeah, and
it's the wild, wild west.
It really is, and I think the people that just try it and they're like, this could be my thing, and they figure it out and they adapt over time, and then they figure out their niche. It really does pay off. It's crazy. Like I'm super excited for your wife. I'm gonna plug your wife right now.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like her content for cooking is so good, and I'm excited to try the pizza recipes.
Yeah.
Because I've seen those stories. And,
yeah.
I'm just excited for her because she's at that mark where it's like 10K followers on Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram's so primed. Like as much as we're talking about TikTok, Instagram has so many amazing things going for it. And I think from the element of, reaching out to a creator and managing those deals is like seeing that they're genuinely liking it, and your wife has that. And so I'm excited to see her growth and go through that.
It's been fun. Like my wife started really just documenting recipes. She didn't want to be an influencer, and she still would not consider herself one. Like this is really for her and herself, her family and friends to like document recipes, do them in kind of a fun way, get them videoed, and just have fun with it. Of course, like if something happens with it, awesome. But like my wife just does it because she loves doing it. Mm-hmm. And if she's not loving it that week, she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
If she doesn't love doing it that day, she's not going to post. But if she's really into it and she's liking it at that time, she's going to post. And funny enough too, like it's interesting because she posts like pretty much exclusively on Instagram. She posts some stuff on TikTok too, but like all of the video views, because of, you know, the way Facebook and Instagram work, like when her posts have gone viral, it's been like 90% Facebook views.
Yeah.
Which has been really interesting.
No, and when I talk to brands, I'm like, would you like to include Facebook Reels? And they're like, we haven't considered that.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Well, walk us through that. And I'm like, yeah, this is like kind of low hanging fruit. If we're already doing a campaign where it's like TikTok and Instagram Reel, like Facebook Reels are so good because most people don't think about it. It was a lot better, say like 3 years ago when it launched. Day one when I saw the notification, because I like to be first.
Yeah.
When I was like, okay, this is it. And we already had a back library of like 300 videos at the time when I was at What's Inside. I uploaded 30 videos the first day, and one got 60 million. Another got, it's in the week. I shouldn't say in the day, in the week. And then another got 12. And then just about every one was over 100K at least.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And follower count, we gained like 10,000 followers that week. And I was just like, this is incredible. But like now, Facebook Reels is the hack to growth for organic. If you want to build your following on Facebook, absolutely recommend Facebook Reels, because they just made it so easy to follow compared to long form content. But going back to your original question, how do I manage my creators? How do I bring them the deals? How do I showcase that I'm not just there to, you know, be a manager, but actually provide value and be a part of their business in a way? And so one of the creators that I manage, our first call, at the end, if they feel comfortable, I'm like, what are your current rates? And so we kind of go through that, and I break down the numbers. So I break down, you know, available data where it's their average views. I break down demographics with them where they're like, they just shoot it over to me while we're on this call and we're going through it. And I'm like, okay, this is what you're currently charging. You should be charging 3 times as much according to this. And I have these case examples of someone in your same area that are making that. And one creator that I've been working with, she's like, I don't know how I would do like brand deals without you now, because I just look back and like they were great deals, and I will never say no to like building a real relationship.
Yeah.
But you not only demonstrated my value, but also told the brand, here's the ways that we can best utilize the content. Because at the end of the day, I do want my creator to get the bag, but I also want the brand to get exactly what they want, whether that's sales, whether that's awareness, whether that's driving, you know, clicks for whatever the campaign metric is, because brands will sniff out if you're just trying to do a one-off.
Yep.
And
every time.
Yeah. And I thrive on long-term partnerships. Like there's one brand, Bitdefender, love brand Bitdefender. They offer great security tools for a variety of different things. Worked with them for 6 years now. And
long-term relationships pay off. And here's the thing, like I feel like and there's still influencer one-off posts that happen and sometimes work. But like at the end of the day, like it's shifting to long-term partner relationships, or even like you and I were chatting even yesterday, it's like creators coming in-house to a brand and becoming like basically being put on payroll or given equity or whatever to become part of the company, and become part of the face of the company to the public. And so like that's going to become way more common. I mean, it already has been really for the last year, but I think we're seeing it a lot more now.
Yeah, it's way more mainstream, especially in the last year. But I remember a close friend, I can't disclose the details, but it was 3 years ago. And I was like, this is like cutting edge. Like you're not only a part of the company now, but you like get on calls to talk strategy with them, because creators have a better pulse on the whole ecosystem than just about anyone else. And I'm not saying that there's not great marketing teams, because the people at Duolingo could go head to head with any creator at any time.
Day. But they're not in it day to day. They're not the face of most of the stuff that's promoted. Like they just don't get it.
and typically it's the genre, right? So
Yeah.
like, for example, what we were talking about yesterday was MKBHD has a new deal where he's on the board at Ridge Wallets.
Yeah.
And if you look at Ridge Wallets, the majority of people that they work with, a lot is tech. Like
Yeah.
that's just
mostly
the
tech.
audience. That makes sense because they have an upper, level wallet that
Yeah.
tech enthusiasts are like, this is great.
Yeah.
Can it be in matte black? Just like, he likes to see.
Yeah.
So I think these partnerships that not only come in from a payment standpoint, but a value standpoint, where they hang on the call and they're like, hey, I think we can do this better next time. And not only on my end, but I think from your end, can we prep the store in this way? Like if we're shooting at their own location, can we do, improve this landing page? We saw that like we got a bunch of comments in our DMs where it was a bit confusing to enter in the information. And then from a product standpoint, like we've worked with electric car companies and we give feedback to the engineering teams and they're like, oh my gosh, we should change that. Like that totally makes sense. And those improvements help all their customers across the board.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many elements. I could go on and on
Dude,
about it.
There's everything.
But I think from the standpoint of if you want to work with influencers that truly care about your brand. And if they have a manager, there's a lot of great managers out there. Just make sure that they are invested in it. If they come to the table with ideas from like day one, they truly want a partnership to happen. If the first meeting is just like, hey, so what do you guys have planned? And then the whole team explains exactly what they got. Great, I'll take this back to the creator. Like one of the things that I value is I love to ideate. I love to sit in this meeting and be like rubbing my hands.
No, strategy is so fun, and ideation
so
and brainstorming is the best. It really is.
Yeah, and so if you can get a manager, a creator, and like a brand that want to make magic happen, it will happen. But if one party isn't truly involved, it's harder. It can happen and it can work, and I think there's still beneficial opportunities. But if you're looking for people for the long haul, I would highly just emphasize the first meeting will tell a lot about how it will go. And so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Move on to the next one. There's so many great creators out there. And if you don't want to work with the lineup that I have as well, like one of the things that I tell brands all the time, like I was on a call with Best Buy yesterday, and I was just telling them, hey, if my creators don't work out, just tell me who you're looking for. I'm happy to make intros, whether I'm a part of it or not, because like we've worked great in the past. I want you guys to succeed, because if you look good to your bosses, then everyone wins in the creator space. Because if there's creator success, it's going to pass along, whether it's a month or 5 years down the road. There was literally a LinkedIn DM that I sent that hadn't heard from the person in 5 years, and apparently I was just like super gracious. And then they sent me an email and they're like, hey, we finally have budget, we'd love to work with you. And now I've worked with him for 2 years running on different campaigns, and I sent that cold DM like in my first 6 months in influencer marketing, and now it's paying off dividends.
Yeah.
So
it's all about relationships, man. I feel like at the end of the day, you've had, I think, a unique impact in obviously the relationships that you've had and built, whether it be through what's inside or whether it be through, the partners that you worked with. And then obviously now going out on your own, like you're a great relationship builder.
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, let's take the business side out of it. You're human. I'm human. You have a family, you have loved ones, I have loved ones. We both want to get back to them and have a great rest of our day. But when it comes to our jobs, if we're passionate about it, like let's execute it, let's get it done. And then how are your kids doing? Like that's some of my favorite calls are when the first 20 minutes we're just talking about family, because I've been working with them for so long.
Yeah, just sharing good news.
Like Andre, he lives in Romania, like literally got connected 6 years ago. And that's how every call starts is in his kid. Sometimes he's just coming home from school and I'm like, yeah, just include him on the call. If he's rowdy, that's fine. Like at the end of the day, if we can't identify that, we're just trying to do our best from a work sense, but in the end, we want to go home, have a great time with our families, not be too stressed. I think if you're too serious about your job to a degree, it almost hurts you. You get stressed about it. And I think Scroll does, this is the plug for Scroll. I'm so envious of the Friday situation that you guys have.
We have
and
a
I'm
4-day work week.
striving for that.
Yeah.
And hopefully getting closer. But I think you guys have such a great emphasis on work-life balance with your team because you basically give them 52 extra days a year to be with their families. Yep. When that adds up over a 30-year period,
it's a lot.
That's years. Like every 6 years, you basically give them a year back to their family.
Yeah. Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And, and we've seen dividends from it. Yeah, granted, we run at a 20% deficit on the week, more or less next to our competitors that have a 5-day work week. Mm-hmm. But we feel like, we've been doing it since 2021 and we've grown since 2021. Yeah. Like our revenues, I think almost doubled, maybe more since 2021. Like our monthly recurring revenue has doubled. I think maybe not, maybe even more than that. But like it's like just the amount of time that we have gotten back personally, that our team's gotten back personally, it's immeasurable. And like we treat Fridays like Fridays are sacred.
Yeah.
And sometimes here's the thing, like it's real life. Like sometimes life happens and you can't work on a Monday or something comes up or whatever. You need to put some hours in on the weekend and that happens. That's life. But like we try and, no client meetings, no internal meetings, Friday's sacred, Friday's off.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just all about the attitude from a company standpoint to strive for that. And like, you're near perfect, right? Like in the sense of trying, I know there's off days, like I get that, but if you're giving 45 out of the 52 days, that's amazing. So anyways, that's just
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm super jealous. I'm trying to get there. And my wife would like me to get there as well. So,
well, and it's funny because it was kind of like on a whim decision. It was kind of trendy. I feel like at the time that we decided to do it, there was a lot of people that were like announcing they were doing it. Mm-hmm. And we're like, maybe we can try it. And so we trialed it for 6 weeks. Mason Bledsoe, former partner to Shane and I, presented the idea to Shane and I, and we liked it. We like 100%, like me and Shane are all about, really, I feel like at our core, like people first, trying to take care of our team, trying to take care of ourselves, our families, and take care of our team. And so it made sense. It resonated with like our core values, and tested it for 6 weeks. Nothing broke. Some things were set on fire, but nothing broke. And we put out the fires. We decided, hey, long term, if this 4-day work week thing is going to be a real thing, like we're operating at a 20% deficiency. So we, Monday through Thursday, need to be like, at a minimum 20% better than what our output is. So we need to do more work Monday through Thursday, but it needs to be way more efficient. We need to get way more done, and it needs to be at a better service and better rate than anyone else. So it kind of forced us to like rethink that model, rethink how we organize our projects and all this stuff to make it work. But it's worked, and we're never going back. So
yeah, well, and I think from the team members that I've met, they're so invested in it because you're invested in them, right? Yeah. So
I hope so. I feel like they are, but yeah.
From my impressions, I think they are from what I've seen, and you can't measure that. So yeah. Anyways,
well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course.
Well, tell me a little bit about what the future you feel like is for influencer marketing and kind of where it's heading.
Yeah, I think we touched on it just a little bit. In the side of bringing on creators to be a part of your marketing team. And there's a variety of ways that you can do that. There's the equity play where you bring them into your organization. Like it's a perfect fit. You've done your testing. Yeah. Like it works. And you're like, they could really elevate the brand, not only from the standpoint of their own platforms that they can share it from, but also bringing into the marketing team and being like, hey, I love what you're doing here. Can we amplify this in this way? And just talking through, those situations, because they have such a good pulse on not only the content element, but how it will resonate with the audience and a physical element, especially when you're an actual physical brand. And then I think from the standpoint of, I think creators are going to get better at vocalizing their value. So I think it's a growing trend on LinkedIn. I think they're vocalizing what they're good at, right?
Yeah.
And being so transparent and like just confident about it. Like one creator that I saw the other day, they're like, I am terrible at negotiating my own brand deals and like working that whole element, but I am in, the best state of mind when I'm just going and working with a marketing team and being like, I can produce content. Let's build out a 12-month calendar. Like, this would be so much fun if we did this April Fool's joke. And like, I think, having them invested in your company, whether it's an equity side, whether it's a salary side, because I think that's underrated. And this is something that I wish I could see more. And I think it will become a bigger trend. Some creators don't need the equity side to be really committed to your company in a long haul sense, right? Sometimes they're like, hey, you're providing stability. I already love your product. Like this kind of wins from that standpoint. Obviously, I would set up, if I was the brand, I would set up a structure where like they get their own, say it's Kizik, and it's their own sneaker launch, or they
get some things to just kind of sweeten the pot, or
and be fun with it. How cool! Like,
totally.
Yeah, for like a sneakerhead to have their own shoe, or for like, for example, with couponer like Kirsty, like she has an exclusive coupon every Saturday. You have to head to stores for those.
For that.
Yeah, just for that. And just building demand where it goes to a certain channel. And then obviously, this at Scroll, you guys are the best at running the ads. You guys get all that data, and then that drives your cost per acquisition down. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, we just made our ad spend go so much further.
100%.
So it just works out from that angle. And I think having those conversations, bringing them in the building instead of, because it's been great this week to be up north and actually talk to people physically, because I'm down in St. George. And obviously I meet with people when they're down there, like when you guys come down.
Yeah.
But man, I love Zoom and I love the capabilities of email, but there's nothing like seeing someone directly in the eyes and then being like, oh, that's a good idea. We should build off of that and like build momentum. So I think even bringing out, the retreats that they're doing, if you do it smartly, I would just have a whole session with, with certain creators and just be like, look, guys, this is how we've built the brand, but we want to hear from you. If you were to take over the reins, what would you do? And just have this like great, bring out the food, just have this normal conversation where it's among friends and be like, we want your success. We want to help you guys grow on your own platforms. How can we fund that? But in addition, how can we highlight our brand and you guys can kind of take over? Like to have those genuine conversations, you will get the best in return on investment you'll ever get. And so that's why, like, ever since I transitioned to my, working for myself and stuff, sometimes I get this random invite, like during Super Bowl weekend, it was like 4 days ahead of time. And the head of Acorns, Justin, shout out Justin, he's the best. And he's like, hey, we're doing a pickup basketball game. Do you want to come out? I loved your basketball that you had for CES, which was a month earlier. And I'm like, absolutely. And so when I was there, I met with a great team. It was like Dwayne Wade's agent was on my basketball team.
That's
and we just,
awesome.
Yeah, we just played pickup, and I apologize to anyone that plays basketball with me because I'm so competitive. And my wife is like, please say that you weren't too competitive. And I'm like, no, I was. Like, I got like every.
You got into it.
Yeah, there were a couple guys, Big Doss TV, if you've seen him.
Yeah, uh-huh.
He was there, and he brought a friend that's just as tall. They're like 6'4",
yeah,
6'5".
they're big dudes.
Yeah,
they're big as me.
Yeah, they're tall. And I was posting up in the paint, and I made them jump, and then anyways I pushed off and got the and one. So anyways, but like those opportunities where I would drive hours if I can connect with just a person for an hour or two playing, especially when it's basketball, but like just connecting and making sure that they know my role as a manager is to get my creators a good living, because it is a business.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I'm your friend too. I want this campaign to go well, and then I want you to be home with your family and have a great weekend. Like,
totally.
That's what it boils down to. So,
yeah. No, 100%. And I think do you have maybe advice for people trying to kind of start some of those relationships? I think you've definitely taken risks and sent like cold DMs or, ask for intros and stuff like that. But do you have anything in particular that you'd give?
Specifically, I'll break it down into two subjects, for creators and for brands, because both do cold outreach to make it happen. So from a creator standpoint, let's go to LinkedIn. Let's get you a profile set up and just type in influencer manager. You're going to find all the brands that are a part of it. If you want specific details on that, like all the different plugins that I have, shoot me a DM. Happy to do it. But there's like Wizza, there's a bunch of different platforms, but I can get into the weeds on what best works for you on that. Like Wizza is like my number one, where I love that platform. Because you can grab just about anyone's email address and start a cold email.
Yep.
And then in that email, I think it's important to have a structure that flows from email to email, but please don't send the same template to everyone. Yeah. I see this all the time where a brand specifically will do this, where it just gets sent to 7,000 creators that are in this niche, and then
they all talk to each other.
Well, we all talk to each other. Plus, if you're asking them to fill out a survey, they automatically know. And I get that it's a numbers game, because I can be empathetic to the brand, but they know from the get-go that they just fit a certain criteria. It's not necessarily them that you want, which is fine, and it works. But I bet you'd have way better results. They'd be way more invested if you sent an individual email. Granted, it'll take one extra day to do that. Yeah. But I've been in the weeds.
You gotta play to the ego. Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, man, you've got, like, people love talking about themselves. Yeah. People love to know that that they have had an impact, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to get a creator to respond to a generic template. You're just not. Like, and if you do, it's maybe it'll work out, but for the most part, like, it probably won't be the best fit.
Yeah, because I respond to a few generic templates from time to time when it makes sense, but I don't fill out their survey. Sorry. Yeah. But I don't fill out their survey because I want a relationship with you to not only showcase, like, yes, you made a good decision to reach out, but can I add some more context on how I think we can elevate this campaign? And that's what I try and spin it, is like turning it into a genuine email. So from a creator standpoint, get LinkedIn. Highly recommend Wizza if you need, help getting that set up. I know the people over there, just got connected a week ago, just because I love their product, and happy to shoot you like a link that you can try it out. But I would do LinkedIn. Get good at email. If you're not good at email, get really good at recording yourself and just talking to the camera. You should be as a creator. And I've sent videos before to brands where I'm like, hey, this is who I am. I think these creators would be great. And they're like, what is going on? Because they put a face to the name. You're not just some random person, random name. Yep. And it works out. Now, from the brand standpoint, this is my recommendation. It's hard sometimes to get emails. So going back to creators for a second, please put your emails in like your bio.
Yeah, and then, at least if you want people to get in touch with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or have some kind of landing page or something.
Yeah, have something set up. But from the brand standpoint, once you find them, there's a few brands that have like knocked it out of the ballpark before, where they're like, they don't just do like, hey, well, we just want to send you a free gift so you can try it out, which I think is spectacular, because then the creator tries it. There's no obligation. Mm-hmm. Nomadic broke this down in a presentation that like that's a huge model for them, which I think is great.
The gifting.
Yeah, the gifting element. But if you go one step further, and this is where some brands have done this, and it just blows my mind how good FBI agents they are. They'll go deep, years deep in content, and they'll be like, oh, this creator loves Oreos and they love this type of Skittles, They love this type of, Chipotle meal because they vlog
exactly.
Because back in the vlogging days, you had all those details. Yep. They do all the research, and then they're like, hey, just so you know, we just sent you a gift. You have Chipotle on the way, and we want you to read our email that we want to partner with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. You thought through not only the process of getting them in a good mindset, because that's essentially what you're doing is
getting them in the mood to say yes.
Getting them in the mood to say yes. But also like winning them from the back, because first impressions mean a lot. Obviously, we want to explore everything. And that's where I come in from a brand manager standpoint.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I just got like 3 emails where I need to reach out to a brand because my phone keeps buzzing. But if you can impress a creator from the get-go, here's my secret. They genuinely will want to work with you more. They'll probably lower the rate that the creator will require. And it's because it starts with a relationship. It's not a transaction first.
Yep, 100%.
And if you can show you actually followed them and like did all that research, it will blow their mind. But here's the part 2. So you had the genuine and the great setup. You knocked it out of the park. You have stage 1 done. Going into stage 2, which is like the negotiation phase and talking through.
Yeah.
Have the creator and give an outline. I am a huge fan of campaign briefs and talking points. Sometimes brands
just
don't
gets the process going.
Yeah, it gets the ideas flowing, but at the end, don't have them have requirements of
creative.
Not only creative, because I like structure. Like they can give a little bit of emphasis, but it's like you have to say, and this is the best mop on the market.
Yeah.
This is the best tires on the market.
Don't handcuff them.
Don't only handcuff them, but let them give their own opinion, because if they give feedback where it's like, yeah, this is really good for this reason, and this reason, this might be a reason where it doesn't work. That's actually really good, because it builds not only trust between you as a brand are letting the creator speak for you in a truthful way.
Yeah.
The truth shall set you free in that regard.
Totally.
Where people will just be like, okay, this didn't work out, but I really like the authenticity of this brand through the creator's lens. And then they launch a new product and they're like, that one makes sense for me.
Yeah.
And so I get from the standpoint of they want every campaign to pay off, right? And I'm very empathetic from that regard. If you're going to put good money behind a creator,
you better work.
Not only should it work, but it should be fun, and you should be able to build from there. And so that's part 2. Part 3 is, and I don't see enough brands do this. They ask for the analytics, they ask for screenshots and stuff, and I try to do this as much as possible, is like just formulate a meeting after the call is, because they're moving on to the next thing. There's the next campaign. And I'm sure like you being an agency owner, working with a bunch of not only agencies, but brands, you're empathetic to that. It's like on to the next thing.
Yep.
But I just want a 20-minute debrief. Like, okay, what things did we do wrong? What could we improve on? Because I want to improve. The creator wants to improve, right? We want that feedback. How did it go for you? Very little brands will give us, say, numbers or involve us in those conversations, because we want to be a part of that and we want to hear that. If it goes extremely well, please tell us. We want to replicate this.
Yeah, for sure.
And not only for you guys, but for other brands that are non-competitors that are in the space. Because if it works for you guys, I'm such a huge fan of long-term partnerships and building it out. But also for the brands that we aren't a competitor, we want them to succeed as well. So I think from that angle, it's just
taking advantage of all those 3 things are huge.
Yeah, it's like if you can implement phase 1, 2, and 3 correctly, that's a long-term partnership. If everything goes well on the analytics side for your conversions, awareness, whatever the KPI was, and you're going to build out a long-term partnership with that creator because it's fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I think lastly, how does a company that has more or less no influencer marketing program established, how do you suggest them going about getting started? And we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like, how would you advise a brand to structure some kind of, program and how it integrates into their current marketing?
Yeah, I think get good at testing from the sense of, so say for example, if you just launched a product brand, like we talked about TikTok Shop, just set it up. So because if someone's a super fan of you, they're going to naturally promote it, right? Yep. And have that little card in there where instead of it being like, drop us a review on Amazon, love Amazon, but invite them to be a part of the challenge. You know what's super interesting is Ryan Trahan. He's a famous YouTuber. He just launched his own brand where it's like 80% less sugar for like the sour strips. And
I've seen it.
Yeah, and he has a monthly competition where whoever gets the highest viewed video, doesn't matter what platform, gets $10,000. And
that's super cool.
Yeah, and it's just fun because like people that love Ryan are going to be like, oh, Ryan's going to see it. So take away the money component. Like how cool is it that Ryan and his team are going to see it and be like, oh, we should do that idea for a video. Like you could give inspiration to them and you might get an invite to be a part of the team, a part of the marketing team. So like, anyways, there's that element where just make it fun, make it exciting. So with TikTok Shop, make your own content from your marketing side. Then set up the affiliate program so people can make a commission.
Make sure it actually works.
And make sure it actually works. Have your spouses, your family members try it out. And if it works and they can get a commission back, great. My sister just did it, and she works in the marketing space. She made 42 cents the other day, and she was over the moon. And she literally runs like a 6-figure agency of just her, and she was more excited about the 42 cents, which I thought was hilarious. And so I think people don't recognize that too, is like your first few bucks making this fun project work is probably the most exciting. I remember the first brand deal I ever negotiated was for office chairs. And an office that was like literally I could throw a rock and hit where we were at the time. And these chairs were like probably worth like $3,000. And it was the first deal that I managed and negotiated.
It's like a Herman Miller chair or something?
Dude, they were like super nice. Like you could fall asleep in those things and your back would probably get like a massage from it. Like it was so ergonomic. And negotiated it, and I was so proud of it when the product showed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I got hooked. And I already love to reach out to people and get connected. But from the influencer side with At What's Inside, because that was the first thing that I did for brand deal, I was just like, this is it. And so I think people get the similar feeling when they're a part of those programs. So if you're trying to run an influencer program, make it fun. You don't need the biggest budget. I think it starts with affiliate, right? A form of affiliate where these smaller accounts become advocates for your brand.
Yeah. And you realize you've got evangelists that you are already, fans of the product.
Yeah. And what's funny is you'll be surprised where someone might have 600 followers, but one of those followers is an influencer. That then influences a bigger influencer.
Yep.
And it's a domino effect. I think too often we think that influencers with 10 million followers, 5 million, 2 million, they're the domino effect. They're the first one to go down. But sometimes it's their family members, and sometimes it's their friends that are friends that are friends. Yeah. And 3 months down the line, you all of a sudden see them wearing your stuff or using your product, and you're like, and that's something that I'd recommend too. Try and figure out where the connection was, and reward the person that got them hooked on it, because Gary Vaynerchuk has a really, really good book about the thank you economy. And he's like, we lost money sending this jersey that was $3,000.
Yeah, to the guy who ordered a bunch of wine.
Yeah, to the guy that ordered a bunch of wine.
Yeah.
And I think about that sometimes where it's and it doesn't have to be monetary. Go out of your way, have the CMO, have the marketing leader be like, we loved your content so much. Could we get on just a call with you for 10 minutes to be like, we want to do a variation on it for our own team. So we just want to ask some questions, make them feel special, make them feel involved. and you'll be surprised how it works out. So.
That's awesome, man. Well, I super appreciate the time today. It's been fun chatting all about influencer marketing and the state of it. I'm stoked. We've got some fun deals in the works with each other, which has been fun. And I'm excited about that. Where can people find you, or if they want to work with you?
So DeVries.digital for the website. Pretty easy to get in contact with me there. LinkedIn, very active on LinkedIn. Going to be more active on it now. But I respond to DMs probably within like an hour or two if it's like business hours. So that's a great place. And then if you want to just shoot me an email, pretty transparent about my email. It's just hunter@devries.digital. And you can reach out to me. Happy to chat anything and everything, influencer or organic.
Love it. Well, thank you again, Hunter. And that's a wrap on episode part 2 of Hunter and Dan. I love it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. All right.